Welcome to Healing Mindset, where stories of resilience become lessons in restoration. I am Nazish, and today we are joined by wonderful Dr. Shirley Piccarreto, a natural health expert whose personal journey through two surgeries and two major breaks reveal that how powerfully the body can heal when supported by nature. Her experience is a reminder that healing isn't always about medicine alone. Sometimes it is about listening to the body's quiet wisdom. Welcome to the show, Dr. Shirley.
Oh, thank you so much. I'm really happy to be here. I appreciate the opportunity. Thank you.
You're welcome. So, Dr. Shirley, recovering from two surgeries and two breaks takes incredible strength in patient. What led you to choose a natural healing path during that time?
Well, my background, has been in natural medicine my whole life, really for the last 30 years or so. So I'm a doctor of naturopathy. I'm a certified herbalist. I teach this. And so it was a normal course of action for me to go that way. Although in the beginning, my pain first started, I was actually in Cambodia and doing a lot of travel, but we were biking and it was hot. And then when I got home in the New York winters, it was freezing cold. And my pain in my hips was just terrific. And, I never considered going to the doctor. I thought, "Oh, I can fix this," but, I needed a surgeon. So there's time for emergency medicine and time for healing. So in the beginning, I had the surgery, but then, yeah, it was a natural path for me to figure out what I needed to heal. And it was many things. It wasn't just one thing, that's for sure.
That is beautiful and very powerful as well. So, for many of us listening, that decision feels both brave and uncertain. Was there a specific turning point when you knew that natural healing was the way forward?
No, not at all. I just knew that that was the way. I didn't know all the components, and I used a lot of different components from cleansing, and we can talk about this, to magnetics and infrared healing and, all kinds of things. And so each one brought a little bit to the table. But now, you know, um, I am stronger than I ever was. We just got back from Italy and we walked 75 miles in 2 weeks, and I'm some advanced yoga classes. And so my strength has done nothing, and endurance, and also, move. These things can take you down mentally, when this stuff we all have things in life that make you cry, but we it can be tough to overcome. So I was, really thankful to get through that.
That is so amazing. It's hope giving for anyone feeling powerless right now.
Yes, definitely. And there were times, I mean, because I'm used to, I've been, fit, healthy, worked in the health clubs when I was in my, 20s. I've taught natural medicine and, just for a year. So it was such a blow to me, to not be okay. It really, took me down. And I really wondered, am I going to be able to hike again? Am I going to be able to bike again or travel again? All of these things. And like, it was really a mind, challenge as well too, to kinda get it all back together. I couldn't even go to the grocery store. So nonetheless, doing yoga and hiking for sure.
Or so that is amazing. Now that you have beautifully combined modern medicine with natural healing approaches, how do you find that balance in your own journey, like in your own healing journey?
Yeah, it's a good question. I don't use the doctors or medical system. I just don't. I've never had to. There's been times, I think diagnostic medicine, is wonderful. I obviously needed the surgery, but then after the surgery, something went wrong and I broke two bones. And so it really, devolved. But yeah, no, yeah, if I'm having a heart attack and my partner Mark is having a stroke, we call the ambulance and they're here within minutes, and that's wonderful. But for everything else, whether, like when I first started years ago, I had anxiety very bad, didn't even know what it was. And I went to all the doctors and all the tests, and then I found a naturopathic doctor, and he told me about my B vitamins and meditating, and cleansing and all that stuff. And that's when I went back to school. So I've had, decades now of working with things naturally. It doesn't even cross my mind, to go to the doctor. It just doesn't. I figure it out for the most part.
That is that's such a refreshing perspective for our listeners who might feel torn between traditional and natural care.
Yeah. Yeah, I understand it. And that's normal. It's not like one is better, but for me, with my clients, if someone's not sleeping, I can help them sleep. If someone's not going to the bathroom, we can help that out. If someone's right knee is bothering them, there's all these beautiful natural remedies. So it's not like trading one for the other. And again, if we can make the body strong, then you use a doc when you need the doc, and that's what it's there for. So using the two together, I think is a wonderful blend.
It is wonderful. And I'm just curious, did that blend ever surprise you in the results or the challenges it brought?
Do you mean by the challenges I faced with the healing, or what exactly do you mean?
No, I mean that this blend that you are talking about. Um yeah. So does this blend ever surprise you in the results or it brought challenges for you?
I'm actually always amazed with what natural healing, can do. Whether over the years I've had a bladder infection, or my kids have had pink eye, or just recently my partner Mark, had an accident where they have a client that have parasites. I mean, I'm super confident with natural medicine. I teach a lot of classes every week, and I teach to help people. And it's not for one to replace the other, but it's to provide confidence. I teach a certified herbalist course so people can learn, like, oh, if my digestion's off, let's do with some papaya mints, or maybe I need a cleanse if I'm waking up at 2 in the morning, and kind of all these things. So it's not new medicine. It's been used for thousands of years. And I've studied in Vietnam, and in India and Cambodia, Nepal. So I've gotten a lot of different knowledge over the years too, from the traveling and exploring that way.
I love how you describe it, this integration instead of opposition. It is really beautiful, and I know many of our listeners will be able to relate and understand it better.
Yes, wonderful.
Yeah. So, you have been through pain and physical limitations firsthand. Something so many struggle to stay positive, though. How did you keep your mindset strong during those difficult moments?
It wasn't easy. There was a period of time, I think 30, 40 days, I cried every day. I just couldn't believe it. I've never had pain before, and so I was very humbled. But I always have this in the back of my mind. The things that I'm going through will be things that I can use, to teach other people. So I just kept doing the things. I used my grounding mat, which is wonderful to supply energy. I used my infrared healing wraps. I used, inflammatory diet. I did a cleanse after I got out of the hospital to get all the anesthesia and the medicine out of my system. And so I just knew it was piece by piece, in bit by bit. And, then I was able to get out and start walking. And I walked maybe a quarter mile, and then maybe and then a half a mile, and it was a slower process, but and then I started back yoga. I started back, doing chair yoga. But it was doing something, because I really couldn't get up and off the floor. And then all of a sudden I could, and so it was a belief that I was going to get better. And then the more results I started to see, and the more I would learn. And I'm a very determined person. I'm a driven person. I'm a disciplined person. So I definitely had a whole plan. I wrote down what I wanted to experience, and I said 1 year from now, I'll, have a ton of energy, be sleeping great, be pain free. And I had all these things. I found that just, I don't know, a couple of weeks ago is kind of interesting. That really my body has completely regenerated, and it just feels amazing.
It is interesting. And the way you frame mindset as a medicine, it is extremely beautiful.
I did, go back to my meditation, every day. I also, have a gratitude practice, and I do visualization. So there was that mind work, the, the herbals and the food and the physical kind of stuff. So yeah, it was a combination of a number of things.
So, would you say that the experience permanently shifted the way you view strength or healing?
I think it just enhanced it. I teach a class now, are you regenerating or degenerating? And I primarily work with women over 50. And so many people over 50 just think that, this is it. And the doctors are very dismissive too. When I went in for a hip thing, they're like, well, surely you are 64. I'm like, so? What does that have to do with anything? So I think that it kind of came about for me. I have a membership group for my women. It's called Wise Women of Wellness, and it's geared towards women over 50, but it's to help to empower because, as I said, so many times the doctors are dismissive, with women. In reality, we can, grow more hair. We can create thicker skin. We can, get rid of our knee problems or back problems. We can, lose weight and increase our sexuality. So all of those things are absolutely possible. And I feel even more determined than before to let women know, how great they can actually feel. And it just changes your life, changes your life. I always say to people, who could you be if you felt amazing? If you felt amazing, what would you do? Where would you go? What would you write a book? Would you travel? We would all do different things. But the key is to start to feel great right away.
That is amazing. Like it really shows that how emotional healing can accelerate the physical side too.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah. So for someone listening right now who's fresh out of surgery and feeling lost, what's one natural advice you suggest they begin with?
I think one of the best things that people can do is to get their body right. We have like 37 trillion cells or something. So our cells make up the tissues, our tissues make up our organs, and our organs make up our body. So everything starts with the foods that we're taking in and the things that we're not taking in. So changing that over is a really good start. And then also to do like a liver and a colon cleanse, because so many people are, especially here in the United States, there's just so many toxins and everything. There's blue toothpaste and red dye in the ketchup and yellow dye in the eggs. I mean, it's just horrible. The meat has hormones. It's just crappy. So, if you have an opportunity to eat real food and good food, that really starts the process. And then doing a good cleanse um, helps to lift the mood because when our liver gets stressed, like from all the medicines and that, and even emotion, then we become low. And it's like, who cares? Why bother? It's more a low depressive state. And then when we lift off that veil, then we have a new perspective. And life really is perspective. And so when we can create a new perspective, then that will lead us on to the next step and the next to get us, where we want to go.
That is such a gentle and grounded advice. I know many of our listeners are going to benefit from it.
Great.
Uh, yeah. So, how can they make that part of their routine without feeling overwhelmed?
Without feeling, what was it? How would they meet the routine? And
How can they make this advice part of their routine without feeling overwhelmed?
yeah, I think it's hard because there's so many, we can get online now, right? We can look up anything at 2 in the morning and all of a sudden we think we have a disease or we're sick. There's so much conflicting information. I think that that is hard too. My membership that I have is free for women. It's called Wise Women of Wellness, and I'm on Facebook. And so it's a great place to start. They can just find me in Wise Women of Wellness, join my group, and I teach a free class every single week. I'm teaching one about increasing your metabolism 10 ways this week. Next week, we're doing eyes. Last week, I did sleep and energy. So when they become a member for free, then they have access to free classes. They can ask questions. So I provide a great service and a free service for people to get the advice that they want.
That is beautiful. And trust me, talking to you make me feel like healing isn't about rhythm. It is not pressure. It is just about patience.
It is, yeah, and consistency, too. But I always tell people, I mean, one green drink isn't going to make you healthy, and one donut's not going to is going to make you sick. It's we have about 80%. According to epigenetics, we control about 80% of our health, which is wonderful. How we live, how we act, are we someone in traffic and we're like, yelling or swearing? Are we someone that, yells at the dog and, all that kind of stuff. So we have our own responsibility, to be, of a good mood, as well too. And that's all part of it. It just is. And when we feel great, then we can be kind to other people and we can bring joy and we can be a light. And who knows with one simple compliment how someone's day might change. And that's what I'm always looking to do. Like, who can I impact positively today that might feel a spark or get excited about doing something new?
That is so beautiful. That's such a beautiful reflection, trust me. So, I have, like, you often talk about body's ability to self heal, which is such an empowering idea. What do you think we as a society need to learn to truly let that happen?
Well, I think again, I think it's hard. I don't like to keep using that word, but the foods are such, poor quality. Many places, the water is not good. Many people are very, pulled into being online, all the time, looking for those dopamine hits and who liked my Facebook post and all this stuff. So it really becomes it starts with a why. I guess that's the best thing I could say. What is a why? Like for a lot of women, they will have a why to lose weight if their daughter's, getting married. And for men, they get motivated if like a friend of theirs had a heart attack or something, it may motivate them to just we all have different reasons, but is it, so we can, feel good for our, 50th birthdays? A lot of times with women, we have a high school reunion and I gotta lose 20 pounds or oh, I go on a cruise, I gotta lose some weight. Well, this is not really about that. This is more about just kind of creating a healthy vessel, to live in and not to be too hard on ourselves. As I said, I was just in Italy for a couple weeks and I had pastries every day. It was actually hard for me to do and cappuccinos every day and pizza and pasta. But we also walked 12,000 miles a day and I balanced it all out. But when I get home, I immediately back. I love intermittent fasting, back to low carb and then back to my yoga. So we don't have to be so hard on ourselves too, uh, which women in particularly, can do.
That is amazing. So I love for you to touch on this. Like, what role does faith or belief play in this process of physical healing?
Yeah, there's a saying that I like, when there's hope in the future, there's power in the present. And so when we have something to be hopeful for, that can give us that, that spark, every day, but it may take reading. I believe that these things happen to us for a good reason. It's usually a pivot, in our lives. I mean, when I was down, that's when I, came up with the idea of having Wise Women of Wellness. So that's a very new program that was just born, within the last year or so. And so usually it means that something is going to be different for some people. Maybe it's a new job, and some people maybe they're, realize they want to get out and see the world, a little bit more. And we have to have hope. We have to have belief. I'm a goal setter. I've always like written everything down. I look at my goals every day. What do I want to do this month? Where do I want to go? Who can I help? What can I write? So I like to have things. I've been doing this for over 20 years, a long time. So I map things out and I don't hit all my goals for the year, but I usually run about 70%, 65, 70. So it's not so bad. You're still getting a lot of things done. But, yeah, I think developing a strong, when we start to feel better and get stronger, we have more confidence. And with our confidence comes maybe the ability to try some new things to feel better and to increase our confidence too.
That is so beautiful. Letting go, trusting, and allowing nature to do its work, it's something we all need to be reminded of.
Yes, definitely. And yeah, I think we all have a path, and we don't know what's on it. But sometimes we could feel sorry for ourselves, which I did for a short period of time, but you can't stay there too long. You can't, it's okay to have a good cry and to, feel bad that something has happened or that you're in pain or you're suffering. I mean, that's natural to do that. but, we wanna have an exit plan too, like, okay, how long do we wanna do this for, or, when do we want to, decide we wanna do something, a little bit better for us. It's our only body, that we have, and, yeah, and it is very forgiving, it really is.
That is amazing. So, for our listeners who want to learn more about your work and follow your work, and I'm guessing there'll be a lot, where can they connect with you or explore your teachings further?
Yeah, it would be, Facebook, nice and easy, it's called Wise Women of Wellness. They'll just find it on Facebook, they can just ask to be a member, and I will accept. I have a deeper dive, classroom where I teach deep dives, like we're doing Aging Beautifully in November, and, that whole program for the whole month is only $11. So if people want a deeper dive, they can do that, or if they want all the free classes, they can have that. Yeah, that's the easiest place to find me, is on Facebook.
That's wonderful. I'm sure many will reach out to keep learning from your experience and wisdom. And I'll include all these details in the show notes as well.
Perfect. Yeah, that sounds great. I appreciate that. And people can also message me privately too, as being part of the group. And so people can send me a message and what's the best this, what's the best, that, how do I do a cleanse? What if I'm taking medication? So it's normal to have questions, but I'm available for questions as well too.
That is amazing. So, Dr. Shirley, thank you so much for sharing your journey and your heart with us today. Your story is a masterclass in patience, faith, and body's natural brilliance. And to everyone listening, remember, healing isn't just recovery, it is remembrance. Your body knows how to return to balance. All of you, all you have to do is to trust, nurture, and allow. Until next time, keep listening to your healing mindset. Thank you.